So I get asked on a weekly basis what snare drum I use and why. To answer that question, I use a 6.5 by 14 Ludwig Black Beauty. The follow-up question to that is, why did you get that one? In this new era where you can basically custom build any drum that you want, why would you get something that's mass produced? And why would you get something as expensive as a Ludwig Black Beauty when you have a bunch of different versions? Even Ludwig makes a cheaper version called the Black Magic. Why'd you get the super expensive Black Beauty? And there's a couple of reasons for that. Before we get into it, I own more snares than just that one. These are just a few, just common ones right there. But the most used drum that I have is my Black Beauty. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Ludwig Black Beauty is, it's a legendary drum that Ludwig made years and years ago. The reason it's so legendary is because of its versatility. It works in almost any genre, and it's kind of set the bar or the standard for what a good drum should be. Now, based on this title, I should probably go over the reasons, or at least the thought process of why I decided to buy a Black Beauty, especially when I own a bunch of other snare drums that do basically the same thing. The first one is the tunability. It sounds great tuned low, tuned high, and anywhere else in between. I literally can pitch it up to jazz or country snare tones and then bring it all the way down for worship and super deep, gushy snare drum tone. It sounds good and cuts through with whatever tuning that you have. The one thing that I didn't like about my Ludwig Acrolite, which is actually right there behind you, when I tuned it low, it lacked the crack that's needed for it to cut through a full mix. And the reason that the Black Beauty does so well and can cut through on any of those tunings is because of the brass shell that it's made out of. The second reason why I decided to get one is the materials that it's made out of. The triple flange die-cast hoops, the brass shell, even just the hardware. One thing that really got me was how smooth this lever is. Very, very smooth. Honestly, one of my favorite things about the drum. Even just the lugs feel really good. They're nice and responsive, but they're also really smooth tuning. And to adjust this, it has little notches on it, so it really just locks it into place. Because my last drum didn't have that, and it would always come loose and undone, and I was always having to fiddle with it. But since getting this drum, I haven't had to. And even though it's an expensive drum, you definitely can feel and see the quality of the drum, and you can see where your money went when you purchase one. And lastly, this one isn't completely necessary, but it is important and worth mentioning. Being a legendary drum and being a drum that people recognize its name, when I have people come into the studio and people ask about gear lists, when they see that drum on there, it instills confidence and it instills a sense of professionalism that you know what you're doing and that you're seasoned in what you're doing because of the professional quality that your gear has. Again, not super important, but it is worth mentioning because that does come up. And that's basically it. Now there are a million other reasons why, but those are just a few of the key points, and honestly the ones that made me decide to actually get one and get a Black Beauty instead of having something else. I did originally own basically a Black Beauty knockoff that was a custom drum, but when I upgraded to this guy, I definitely noticed a difference, and I definitely realized and understood why it costs the way it does and why that drum has the reputation that it does. Because it is a super solid drum that will kill whatever you throw at it, and that's why it's my main drum, and that's why honestly it stays on my drum set probably 98% of the time. Okay, that's it. I'll put a link down below. You can check the exact drum out that I bought on Amazon. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.